Basically, there are different ways to create object in JavaScript. Let us see one by one. First, we will create object using a function constructor. Let me say function. I will say student. So this function student is going to accept a couple of arguments, ID and name. I say this dot ID equal to ID. This dot name equal to name. Then I say this dot introduce equal to function which is going to return I am a student, my name is this dot name, my student ID is this dot ID. Now I will create an object. Let me say var student1 equal to new student. I'll pass the ID as 1, name as John. At line number 10, I say console.log my object name, which is student1 dot introduce. Let me open the terminal window. Here I will say node space my JavaScript file name, which is program, and press enter key. Now I can see I am a student, my name is John, my student ID is 1 as output. I will tell you about this keyword. It is not necessary I have to create only one object for a function constructor. I can create as many as object I want, right? So at line number 12, I create another student by saying var student2 equal to new student. This time I will pass the value as 2, and for name I will pass the value as Jamie. At line number 13, I say console.log student2.introduce. Now I clear my terminal window by saying CLS, and when I run the code, for object 1, I am getting the output as I am a student, my name is John, my student ID is 1. And for object 2, I am getting the output as I am a student, my name is Jeremy, my student ID is 2. For every object that is created, the name and ID property, the value it carries is different, right? So this keyword represents the ID and name or the introduce property of the corresponding object created for that function constructor. Okay. Now let me do one thing. I will say function space student intro or something, and this function is again going to accept a couple of arguments, ID and name. This time I say return ID comma name comma introduce and I will copy the line number 5 and paste it at line number 21. I remove the this keyword here. So this is basically a student intro factory I have created. The factory does not use this keyword, just like your function constructor. Now, when it comes to creating a factory, I say var some object name equal to the factory name and pass the student ID as 3 and student name as Ram. At line number 27, I say student object dot introduce. So which is going to return me a string. I'm going to print it in the console by saying console.log. Now I clear my terminal and run the program. So the output returned by the factory object is I'm a student, my name is Ram, my student ID is 3. Now let me do one thing. I'll create something called as class and give the class name as students. At line number 31, I create a constructor for the class using the constructor keyword. Inside the constructor, I say this dot id equal to id, this dot name equal to name. So whenever I create an object, I should pass id and name in the constructor. Introduce, and then this introduce function is going to return same output as your student function constructor. So it returns I am a student, my name is whatever the name that comes in the constructor, my student ID is whatever the ID that comes in the constructor. At line number 40, I say var underscore obj students equal to new students, and in the constructor I pass the ID as 4. This time I pass the student name as Bobby. At line number 42, I say console.log underscore obj students, which is my object name, dot introduce. When I clear my terminal and run the program, I am a student, my name is Bobby, my student ID is 4. This output is returned by the object of students class introduce function. So hope you are clear how to create an object in different way using function constructors, factory functions and classes in JavaScript. Thank you.